And we're going to unpack four crucial stages that guide a story from that initial spark all the way to a full-fledged script. And each step, you'll see, it adds this vital layer of depth and clarity, too. It lets the story evolve systematically, robustly. So, okay, you're starting from scratch. That blank page, it can be pretty daunting. What's the very first, concrete step a screenwriter takes to get that flicker down in a way that actually matters?
Right. That's where the logline comes in. And it sounds simple, maybe deceptively simple, but it's incredibly powerful.
Okay.
You all kind of know it's a 1 or 2 sentence summary, right? But the real insight, I think, is that it's also a diagnostic tool.
Ah, diagnostic. How so?
Well, it demands those 3 core elements. Your hero, their specific goal, and the central conflict, the thing stopping them.
Hero, goal, conflict. Got it.
And if you can't nail these 3 down into one compelling, concise sentence, well, often that's a sign that your core concept itself might still be a bit fuzzy.
Interesting.
Or maybe you're missing a clear protagonist, or the goal isn't sharp enough, or the conflict feels weak. It forces that conceptual clarity right from day one.
So it's not just a pitch to sell it. It's almost like a litmus test for the idea itself.
Exactly. A litmus test. That's a good way to put it.
Can you give us an example, one that really nails it?
Sure. Think about Back to the Future. Classic example.
Okay.
The logline. A teenage boy finds himself stuck in the 1950s after a time travel experiment goes wrong, and he must ensure his parents fall in love so he can return to the present.
Yeah, that's packed.
See? Hero, teenage boy. Golden year. Your parents fall in love. Return to the present. Conflict stuck in the past. Experiment gone wrong. Parents aren't together. It's all right there. So much information. Condensed.
Wow. Okay. That's a powerful point. I never really thought of the logline as a clarity test quite like that before. So, all right, you've passed that test. Your logline is solid. How do you then expand on that tight core idea without immediately getting lost in the weeds?
Yeah, good question. You don't want to jump straight to scenes. So from that ultra-condensed spark, that log line, you start to sketch out the broader landscape.
Okay.
And that's where the synopsis comes in.
The synopsis.
Right. It's still relatively short, maybe a paragraph, maybe up to a full page. But it starts to introduce the main characters more, lays out the key events, the ones that really drive the plot forward.
Key events, turning points.
Exactly. Important turning points. And crucially, it usually includes the film's ending. You need to know where you're going.
So it's like painting with a slightly broader brush, giving a clearer sense of the story's arc.
Precisely. A broader brush. How would that look for Back to the Future, you asked?
Yeah.
Okay, so a synopsis might go something like this. Marty McFly, he's a teenager from the 80s, right? He gets inadvertently transported to 1955. How? Via this time-traveling DeLorean built by his eccentric scientist friend, Dr. Emmett Brown.
The doc.
So to safeguard his own future existence, Marty has to navigate this totally unfamiliar world of the 50s, and he's got to orchestrate the romance between his own young parents.
Who are clueless, of course.
Totally. All while dodging the school bully, Biff, and working with the 1955 version of Doc Brown to somehow find a way back home before time runs out.
Okay, yeah, I can see the difference. It's the whole story in brief.
It bridges that gap, you see, between the logline's core idea and a more developed narrative, gives you that broader view of the arc, but you're still not bogged down in scene-by-scene details. Not yet.
I can really see how you're systematically building this out. Logline first, then the synopsis provides that expanded overview. So the next logical step, I guess, is to really flesh out the story's mechanics and the emotional journey.
Exactly. Now you're ready to get into the nitty-gritty of the story structure and the character arcs. That's where the treatment comes into play.
The treatment. Okay, tell us about that.
This is where the story truly starts to breathe, I think. It's a much more extended version of the narrative. And this is the critical rule, no dialogue.
No dialogue at all.
None. It's pure prose. Like telling the story in a short story format, almost. This stage really delves deeper into the plot. It outlines the structure of individual scenes, even if you don't write them out fully.
Oh.
It details the emotional development of the characters, how they change, why they change, and it pinpoints all those central turning points very clearly.
Why no dialogue? What's the advantage there?
Well, the real insight here, I think, is how it allows you to fail cheaply.
Fail cheaply.
Yeah. You can rework plot points, entire character arcs, structural issues.
Yeah.
You can fix all that stuff here in prose before you've invested potentially hundreds of hours writing dialogue, formatting scenes.
Ah, I see. You're solving the big picture problems first.
Exactly. Before you commit all that time and effort to the actual script pages, it saves massive headaches down the line, believe me.
That's fascinating. So it really is about getting the blueprint absolutely right before you start, laying the foundation bricks with dialogue and scene descriptions.
That's a perfect analogy. The blueprint before the build.
Does the treatment itself have a kind of standard structure?
Generally, yes. You can think of it in 4 fundamental parts, usually. First, the opening.
Yeah.
Sets the scene, introduces the world, the characters, establishes that initial conflict or situation.
Okay.
Then you move into the story progression. This is the bulk of it. Developing the plot, introducing more conflicts, confrontations, dilemmas, everything that pushes the characters and the story forward.
Makes sense.
Then that builds towards the climax, the peak event, the main showdown, the decisive turning point where everything changes.
The big finale moment.
Right. And then finally, the ending, the resolution, how the story wraps up, the aftermath.
So sticking with our Back to the Future example, what would a treatment for that look like, minus all that iconic dialogue? Great Scott and all that.
Right, without the dialogue. Well, the treatment would narratively detail how Marty McFly gets accidentally zapped back to 1955. It would describe his initial shock, confusion.
Finding Hill Valley so different.
Exactly. His encounter with his parents as teenagers. It would describe, in prose, the comedic scenes, the dramatic difficulties he faces trying to get them together, the awkwardness, the misunderstandings. It would outline his confrontations with Biff, the specifics of those encounters. It would detail the desperate race against time, working with the 1950s Doc Brown to figure out how to harness that lightning strike.
The whole clock tower sequence?
Yes, the whole sequence, described beat by beat.
Wow.
Getting the DeLorean ready, the cable, the hook, all the tension and action, but told descriptively.
Yeah.
All the story, all the emotion, just no spoken lines yet.
Okay, wow. That sounds incredibly detailed already. So you've got your concise idea locked with the logline. You've expanded that into a full plot summary with the synopsis. You've fleshed out every single beat and character arc in prose with the treatment. Now you're finally ready to write the actual script.
Yeah, you're ready. This is where the draft comes in, the screenplay itself.
Finally.
Precisely. The draft is the full script version. This is the blueprint for production that everyone uses. It's meticulously written in that very specific professional screenplay format. It includes detailed descriptions of the scenes, what we see, what we hear, character actions, and of course, finally,
the dialogue.
The dialogue, and specific locations, times, INT for interior, EXT for exterior, day or night.
Right.
And what's really crucial to remember here is that this isn't usually a one-and-done step. You write a first draft, then a second, maybe many more. Multiple drafts are commonly written, revised, polished. It immediately tells the entire production team, the director, the producers, the designers, the assistant directors, exactly where and when a scene takes place.
So they can plan everything.
It allows them to quickly break down the script for budgeting, for scheduling locations, for creating shot lists. It's like the universal language of the film set. It ensures everyone's on the same page.
So for Back to the Future, could you give us a tiny snippet of what that draft format might look like?
Sure. Imagine that first moment Marty arrives in 55. It might read something like, EXT, Lion Estates, sign night. Sound of screeching tires. The DeLorean careens around a corner, smashing through the Lion Estates sign and skids to a halt in a field. The gull-wing doors lift open with a pneumatic hiss. Marty MCFLY climbs out, brushing himself off. He looks around, his eyes wide, taking in the sudden silence and the unfamiliar, unfinished landscape. Marty? Confused, voice trailing off. What's going on here?
Yeah, okay. You can totally picture it. It's incredible, really, to think how much detailed thought and systematic progression goes into something that hopefully feels so seamless and natural when you watch it on screen. It really makes you appreciate the craft involved.
It absolutely does. And this draft stage, it's truly the culmination. It's where all those previous stages, that condensed idea in the logline, the plot outline in the synopsis, the detailed narrative flow from the treatment, it all comes together into one tangible, practical document that can actually be used to build a film.